welcome to this first video of marketing, the truth or the ugly truths about marketing and the reality and the facts, what works and what doesn't work. Let me introduce myself. First of all, we're gonna have a lot of video coming up soon, I hope. Just give me a bit of time to pull them out together, but I think for the first video I should introduce myself and explain to you why I'm doing this. So my name is Grégory Birger, I'm French. Well, nobody's perfect. I have 30 years experience in marketing and communication, and I've covered like almost every aspect of product marketing, communication strategy, digital, operation, headquarters, local offices, business units. Worked in Asia for 10 years, worked for major companies, MNCs like Apple, for startups, and I even founded my own digital agencies 10 years ago. Very quickly, my background and my resume. So I always wanted to do marketing, but I always believed that if you want to do marketing correctly, you need to understand what the salespeople need. Because I will come back to that later, but marketing by itself means nothing. Our role as a marketer is to support the sales and to make sure the guys hit their sales target and that the company hits the sales target. And that's our role. So I started to be a salesman for Sony Music for 1 year. I realized I was very bad at selling, but it was fun because we were selling CDs like Michael Jackson, Mariah Carey, Rage Against the Machine, I mean the Fugees, and this is like a long time ago, but it was very fun. The record industry is very fun. But after a couple of years I decided to change and to try to look for a marketing job. And I had my first marketing job for Yamaha France. Yamaha has multiple subsidiaries. Started to work for, and I wanted to work for the hi-fi division of Yamaha. And if you have to look back in the past, I mean, for most of us, for you young guys and young generation, it will not talk to you, but we were talking about the beginning of DVDs. At the time we were talking about Laserdisc, the beginning of DTS, Dolby Digital and so forth. So it was very fun. And my job as a product manager for France was to handle not only the training, the communication, training of the network in France, communication, PR with all the specialized press, and be the liaison point with the Japanese headquarters, which I loved it. But after a couple of years, I got a proposal to work for Packard Bell. Packard Bell is a brand that not exists anymore, I would say, or is not as famous. But at that time, Packard Bell was #1 in the home desktop market, and they wanted to launch a notebook division, and they were looking for a product manager to drive the notebook division. And what convinced me to change, because I was very comfortable at Yamaha, is that I met somebody, and I will come back to this name, remember that name. I met a guy called Pascal Cani. And I will just tell you quickly how it worked, because it was so fantastic. I went to Packard Bell, Pascal bring me to the coffee machine. He was talking at the coffee machine, and then he was telling me, "Are you good?" And I was like behind him and say, "Yes." Then he turned to me and said, "Are you really good? Because I only want the best." So you can imagine the kind of pressure I had. Then we went into his office and he started to draw like business plans on his boards, like, blah, today we are here, I want to be there, blah, blah, blah. Your competencies are here in marketing, in business, in business, in business. And he turned to me and said, "You know, in marketing, I need somebody who's at 10, you're at 6. In business, I need somebody who's at 8, you're at 5. And he looked at me and I was like, and told me, "Why should I hire you? Because you're not good." So I told him, we had a long conversation, discussion, and I tried to convince him that I was better than his ranking anyway. Long story short, I worked for Pascal for 3 years. I was the head of the notebook division for Packard Bell. And our job was to do what Packard Bell did in the desktop market. So launch notebook for the home consumer. And you have to, again, look back like 15 years ago. At that time, notebooks were mainly used for professional purposes. So my job was to create a new range of notebook for consumers. So you have to think completely differently. What are the needs of the consumers versus professionals, packaging, software bundles, pricing, well, lots of fun. That's what we call product marketing, and I was in charge of the entire product line for the world. After 3 or 4 years, Pascal, I come back to him, left Packard Bell to be the VP of Apple Europe. A couple of months later, he called me, said, Greg, can you join us to be the marketing manager for the laptops and the mobile product of Apple? I refused one time, I could not refuse a second time, then I joined Apple, and I was very lucky to launch the first iPod in Europe. I was marketing manager for the laptops, for the iPod, and even though today everybody say, yeah, it was an easy job, iPhone, so forth, blah, 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 it could be a video by itself, I'm telling you. I mean, when we launched the iPod the first time, nobody believed it, except Steve Jobs and me and a couple of guys in the company. When I saw it, I saw the potential of that stuff, but like Pascal didn't believe in it, and I was fighting with him every day to ensure that we can order more and more units. And well, at the end of the first year, we sold the last quarter as much as the entire year. So it was a success. And in 6 years, we sold as many units during the last year than the first 5 years. So it was a big ramp up. Very comfortable job, very fun, enjoyed it a lot. It was my best time in my life in a company. I loved Apple. But I am the type of guy who gets bored easily and in new challenges. So I wanted something new. Apple offered me the job to drive the iTunes store in Europe for the France, German, Spain, Italy market, but I thought I would have not enough flexibility and autonomy. I like to be autonomous when I work in marketing projects. I like to be judged on results and not to be told what to do. Normally the job of marketing is like people come to us and say, we have a problem to solve, bring us a solution. And iTunes at that time was very political, still handled by Steve, so I was not sure I could handle it properly. So I decided to take an opportunity to go to work in Asia. I wanted to work for Asia for a long, long time. And I worked for Philips business unit in Asia. I was the head of the product units for all portable products in Philips, which means I had the same job than in Apple, but the job of my boss in the headquarters in Cupertino. So during 1 year, we tried to create mobile products like radio station, DVD players, competitors for iPod. And after 1 year, I said enough is enough, because Philips is a great company if you want to do a career and stay a long time. But for my profile, it didn't fit, because this is a company where you have to agree with everybody before you can take a decision. And that's not the way I work, especially in product marketing. You need to have one decision maker who takes the responsibility, and then you go for it. So it was not my way of working. Long story short, after that, I worked for an agency, advertising agency, which was called Wunderman. Wunderman was the what we call agency of records of Microsoft. Agency of records means that usually most of the major companies in the world, they have one agency to drive the entire communication business. Usually they have 2 or 3 types of agency. They have a media agency, they have what we call an ATL agency, above the line, so advertising. They have a BTL agency, below the line, And now, of course, you have digital with this type of stuff. And I was driving the below-the-line agency for Microsoft, so all the CRM campaign, one-to-one marketing, direct emailing, and so forth. I thought it could be fun, but it was very challenging actually, because when you talk about Microsoft, you think about Xbox, MSN at the time. So I thought, yeah, I'm going to drive Xbox marketing, you know, but actually that's not how Microsoft is doing its business. Microsoft is doing its business by selling licenses, servers, softwares, and so on. So not as fun as selling Xbox, but very interesting. I learned a lot during this period. Unfortunately, after 1 year, the contract with Microsoft stopped. And when you work for an agency, it's very simple. You have a contract, you work. You don't have a contract, you're out. So the entire Microsoft team was out. Despite the fact I was the Asian region lead for Microsoft, I was the director for the agency in Singapore, the director for the agency in South Korea. So I said, okay, Greg, that's now your time. Let's open your own agency. I created an agency that was called F5 Digital 15 years ago. I think it was one of the first agency that tried to explain at the beginning, like the early years of digital, what it means digital. Nobody had any ideas. I mean, today, of course, it seems obvious, and believe me, it's not. You will see that in a further episode. But at the time, there was such a gap between agencies, companies, and then something on top of that came, which was digital. Google, nobody knew what to do with it. Facebook, nobody knew what to do with it. So it was not only a way to train the agency world and the companies on how to deal with digital, it was to explain to them the shift of behaviors of the consumers. And I will come back to that later. Agency is very successful for 4 years. After 4 years, I did a burnout, stopped. Too much work, decided to go back to my passion, which is music. You see some of the equipment behind me, but that's another topic. I'm DJ part-time, producer, music producers. I did that for 5, 6, 7 years until I realized that, well, it's great to have fun with music, but that's not how I'm gonna get revenue. Well, I was not good enough. I was having too much fun creating music and was not creating enough good songs. So I decided to go back to marketing, and now I'm working for this company called Ayobeya. I'm very happy to work for Ayobeya. Started as a marketing director for HQ, then work on a strategic position. Then now I'm a director, marketing director for Asia. So I'm back in Asia, I'm very happy. I'm based in Bangkok. So sorry for this long introduction. That's my background. As you can see, I've done many things in marketing and communication. I think I will stop here today for this episode. Let's catch up on episode number 2, and let me explain to you why I'm running this channel and what it will be and what will be the content. Thank you guys. Hope to see you soon.